Welcome back to Bench Racer X here on RacerXOnline.com. I'm Kellen Brauer. He is Donnie Southers. We're gearing up for the 250 SX Region Championship this weekend, Detroit. Donnie, you will be there. We finally get to see a fresh crop of 250 faces. Just kind of general excitement about it, huh?
Yeah, normally I feel like the West by now, if we're excited for East, but I kind of wasn't ready to give up West, but I'm excited. I mean, it's 0 points. Let's go.
Yeah, I feel like normally we maybe give 5-6 rounds of West before we go East. So fifth round feels a little early for East, or is that? I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but to me, like you said, it does feel maybe a little fast.
Yeah, it's definitely fast. Last year it was technically the fifth round, but that's because Oakland got canceled, so like you can't really count that. But yeah, it just feels really weird that we're already back in my territory. Like it's snowing out here. Nobody wants to be out east. Like it's disgusting. So we'll be indoors. That's what's important. After all of the fiasco we've had in California, I think we are all ready for an indoor stadium.
Yeah, definitely. Just quickly before we jump into what these guys had to say in the press conference yesterday, we're starting with East this weekend. Then we go back West next week after that at Glendale, and then there's a break before we race East again. So it's like start and then 2 weekends off. Do you like that, or do you wish that we would have started East and gone?
I wish we would have done kind of the more traditional format of like do 5 rounds, then we do 5 rounds west, or 5 rounds west, 5 rounds east. But I also understand that this is just how it had to be. We have a prime time spot on NBC. It's got to be at 3 p.m. So we've got to move to an east time zone. Otherwise, track walk would be at like 3 a.m. So it is what it is. I'll take it. It's fine.
Yeah, so just quickly to mention, as you mentioned, we are on NBC this weekend for Monster Energy AMA Supercross. It's going to be earlier. It's a day race. It's 3 p.m. Eastern. That's noon Pacific on NBC. And they're actually starting with 450 heat races this weekend, which I found out yesterday. That's a little interesting, but we can talk about that in a moment. So let's talk about yesterday was the opening 250SX East press conference. And we got to hear from all the riders, a lot of kind of the same, bike feels good, I feel good, and all that. But, Donnie, we did get to finally hear from Hayden Deegan, the mysterious wrist injury or not situation with him. And here is what Hayden himself had to say about it.
Yeah, I had a crash and it was just I just like sprained my wrist pretty bad. So I took it was only like a week off and I was trying to train like a little low key, wasn't posting much for a while, just, kind of locked in, didn't have my filmer come to the track or anything. And then about the last week or so, like it's about go time. So I was like, we can get some videos up and get back in the flow of things. But yeah, we did have a crash, hurt the wrist a little, but nothing major. We ended up being good. So yeah, we have a wrist brace on it now for just a little more support because it is sore sometimes. So, but yeah, we're chilling.
I love that. Yeah, we're chilling. I don't know why. That's like my favorite part, but I feel like it's probably being downplayed a little bit, which is fine. It's not like that's not par for the course of the entire industry. I hope that what he says is true, and it is just a little tiny sprain, and he was off the bike for just a week or whatever it is, because that would be good for racing. It's good for the sport, especially being on NBC to have Danger Boy up front. But I have to be a little skeptical because we hear this a lot from everybody in the industry.
Yeah, well, if it was just a sprain, it makes a little bit more sense why like they just didn't feel the need to talk about it, I guess, because whatever, like he's going to be good for East allegedly. So what does that make a difference? But yeah, it was weird, the kind of industry reaction to this. Like I talked to a handful of people trying to get information about it and was always stonewalled about, we can't talk about it, this, that, and the other thing. So I guess, is this just a laissez-faire? It is what it is because he didn't have a big injury, so the team didn't want to talk about it? Or is there a little more to read into it, you think?
I just don't know. Like this one is just kind of the pinnacle of everything that has been, how the industry has operated for as long as we can remember. I would have thought if anybody was going to be more honest about it, that's content, like the Deegan empire is built on YouTube clicks and stuff like that, and they do an incredible job with it. So him having a got injured post would be through the roof, and then him, having a rehab and et cetera, et cetera. Like I think that would have been good for the brand. So I mean, I don't know. So maybe it is true, just because why wouldn't you cash in on those headlines?
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. I hadn't thought of that angle with the kind of promotional side of it a little bit, but you're right. Like coming back from an injury is no question about it, a storyline that they could feed into a little bit. So now we know there is an injury to some degree. He's not 100% coming into East. And if we look at it based on what he had to say about it, I think you and I both kind of agreed he would be the more or less favorite coming into East. I know he hasn't won a Supercross. Max Anstey did win a Supercross last year. Jeremy Martin's won a lot, as has Austin Faulkner, so they have the experience, but we kind of assumed Deegan would, be a little bit better than them based on what we saw in SMX. Does this knock him down to, a peg below them in any regard, and where do you see those guys shining through coming into this season?
I think it does. If I'm being honest, and I'll probably, I had a realist take about Hayden last year and got labeled a hater, so I'm signing up for it again. I don't think it's wrong to say that he's your favorite, but I don't think he's nearly as clear cut as everybody else thinks. Like you said, he has never won a Supercross. There are 5 guys in the class that have won Supercrosses as recently as last year. So I think it's going to be, really stacked up at that top. There is no clear cut, RJ type guy that is way faster than everybody else. With that being said, I hope that he comes in and rides smart, but he is a teenager, and we see that with Jet Lawrence in his career when he was younger too, where he needs to just come in first few rounds, he's a little beat up, take that 5th, take that 3rd, whatever it may be. If he doesn't get a good start, just live to fight another day. I just hope he doesn't come out and push hard because he knows he's faster than them and then makes a mistake that costs him a season.
Yeah, definitely a good point about just taking it easy and not doing something stupid to start with, especially coming off an injury. Couple other guys that are coming off of injury. We got Austin Faulkner kind of back to full strength. He was weirdly had a knee injury that caused him to miss SMX. Cameron McAdoo is also back, his teammate, after being out almost a whole year. He just said in the press conference yesterday he's just ready to be back behind the gate again, and hopefully he is good to go. What do you see out of, I guess, the PC guys? We know Faulkner's experience level is, bar none. He has the most wins of anybody in this class. But McAdoo also is a sneaky guy that can win on any given night. Do you think both of them are ready to go and ready to win?
Yeah, I think Cameron's been a little disrespected in the preseason hype because obviously everybody's looking at what Faulkner has done, and I don't mean any disrespect when I say all of those results were a very long time ago. But McAdoo, before exiting the year last year, he was third. He was right behind RJ and Jet, and those guys are not in his class anymore. So I can see him having a chip on his shoulder, being like, "Hey, I am the fastest guy left out of who I was racing last year, and why isn't anybody talking about me?" So I definitely think McAdoo has a huge chip on his shoulder this year, and he's going to come out swinging.
Yeah. Also, can't forget Seth Hamaker, who missed most of Supercross last year with an injury, came back halfway through outdoors, then got hurt at the last SMX round. He is, talked to him a couple weeks ago. He's not like 100% either. He just got back on the bike in December. Kind of similar situation to what I hear about McAdoo. But I will say, watching Austin Faulkner at the test track, he is flying, which is no shock to anyone. Speaking of flying at the test track, Max Anstey has maybe got the most hype of anybody. Anybody who is around or wants to talk about Max Anstey will tell you that he is flying at the test track. Yesterday, Anstey himself said he doesn't necessarily feel like way different or miles better than last year, but clearly there's a lot of Anstey hype this year, Donnie.
Yeah, and it's weird that we're not talking about him more. I think it's just because those other guys we're so used to seeing. And Anstey is obviously the veteran. He's the old guy in the class, but not to us, not in America. He hasn't spent that much time racing these guys. But he was the only one early in the year last year that could really hang with Hunter. And it felt like his season kind of just like little pieces fell off as we went on, and then he ended up out of the title hunt by the late end stages. But yeah, he won in the mud. A lot of people say, "Oh, but it was the mud," but it doesn't matter. It was an East-West showdown, and he took those boys to school.
Yeah, we also have Jeremy Martin back for Club MX. He is a force to be reckoned with whenever he hits the racetrack, so long as he is 100%. He won a Triple Crown race last year at Arlington, didn't quite win the overall. Do we expect maybe a better version of J-Mart? I know he's coming off this injury with his wrist, arm area, but is there any version where a year on a club bike for J-Mart makes him more solid in Supercross?
I think so, yeah. I would like to see him kind of around that Garrett Marchbanks level of, being able to lead races. And if things go his way, he can absolutely win. I am a little concerned, just obviously he is getting a little bit older. I know that there was a quote somewhere that said he's not as focused on getting into a 450 ride anymore. And I think, losing a little bit of those goals might be a shift in his mindset where he's just kind of, happy to be the older guy in the class, get good results for his team, and then, go home healthy, which is something he has not done in a very long time.
Yeah, so many names to go through. We're never going to get through all of them in this short time frame, but I want to hit on a couple guys real quick. Daxton Bennett comes from Supercross Futures, where he probably should have won in Salt Lake City last year after winning 2 of them earlier in the year. And again, similar rumors flying at the test track for him. Do you put him and Chance Hymas in the rookie category together? Or is Hymas like experienced enough now where this is really like debut season for Bennick and Hymas is already year 2?
If we're calling Justin Cooper a rookie in the 450 class after doing half a season last year, I think we have to call Hymas a rookie this year. But he definitely has a little bit more experience. It feels like Hymas has been racing at a higher level for a few years, and Bennick is definitely feels newer. But I think it's fair to compare them and expect the similar results from both of them.
Yeah. One last thing to hit on. We, at the beginning of the press conference yesterday, heard a lot about Triumph, what they've done to get to this point. They had Zach Lurie and Bobby Hewitt both talk at length about what they've been going through. And Bobby himself even said, yeah, there's been struggles, like 100% as a new brand. We've been trying to work through some stuff. For Triumph, I think both Jalek Swoll and Evan Ferry kind of echoed the fact that like we don't really know because we've never raced this bike. Like we think everything's good, but you think everything is good when you know, Jalek said he thought everything was good when he was racing for Husqvarna, and then he gets to the first round and it's not. For them, and specifically Triumph as a brand this weekend, what constitutes a win for them this weekend with Swoll and Ferry?
With anything that I've seen from Beta at the early phases, I think what's important is both of them need to make the main and finish all of the laps. I think for a brand, it'll be really important because Beta took a big hit. Like, obviously, with all due respect to Benny and John Short, they're not as high profiled as Swoll and Ferry probably are. But having those mechanical issues really, I think, hurt the image of the brand. So if Triumph can just come in, I would like to see Swoll fight top 10. I think he obviously can. He's podiumed before. So Ferry, I just want him to learn. I really just want both of them to stay healthy and the bike to look like it belongs with the rest of the bikes.
Yeah, no, agreed. I like you said, I think just have a clean night. Don't have any like weirdo what happened with the bike here kind of situations like we've already seen with Beta, unfortunately, this year. If they could just have a night where kind of, I guess, almost live in the shadows a little bit. Obviously, they'll be spotlighted because of a new brand, but just some solid results and main events for both guys would definitely be a win. Like I said, not going to get through everybody. A couple other guys to just consider quickly. Tom Vial, really, I thought kind of came into his own zenith with SMX at the end of the year. He's going to be number 16 on Red Bull KTM, second year of Supercross. I'll just pitch it to you, Donnie. Tom Vial, does he win a race this year?
I don't know if he wins a race, but I think he leads a lot of laps.
Okay. Yeah, whole shot guy, right? So gets out front. I could see him winning a few heat races, but I am interested to see whether or not he puts it all together for a full main event. So that's kind of your 250 East update from everything we heard from the press conference yesterday. Everyone's happy about their bike, and everyone's feeling mostly strong and fit and ready to go. No one really said, oh, I've had a bad off season, as we usually expect. But then the gate drops on Saturday, and we see what really goes on. All right, Donnie, 250 East pick. You got one?
Give me McAdoo.
You got McAdoo, really? Okay.
Give me McAdoo, yeah. Yeah, he wants that number 10. Brayton held on to it for one more year, so McAdoo can get it as his permanent number. So give me McAdoo.
McAdoo, wow, that was that caught me off guard a little bit. I'll be honest with that. You know what? I will go the other side, and I will say Austin Forkner. For a guy that at one point was, clicking off wins like it was nobody's business. And I feel like people at some point maybe said he needs to be humbled a little bit. I think he's been humbled a lot. And I just want to see him back to old form because a quick Austin Forkner, I think, is a force to be reckoned even on a 450 some days. So, I'll pick Forkner. But I hope that we just have a great 250 East Championship. These guys stay healthy, and we see a battle royale between all the top guys all season long. Donnie, thanks for joining me today on Bench Racer X, and thanks everyone for tuning in to another edition here on RacerXOnline.com. Be sure to visit RacerXOnline.com for all your motocross and supercross news.